Molly here for First Chapter Friday. I'm so excited to be here with you today, and we are going to be reading Chameleon Dad by Debbie Thomas. So this story, our synopsis on the back, Connie will never forget the day her dad went to buy her a cup of hot chocolate at the airport cafe and never came back. That was 8 years ago. Connie loves her foster mom Mags, but longs to find her dad again. When a mysterious letter appears, she vows to track him down with the help of her new friend, a fearless fossil-hunting boy called Thyo. Soon, Connie is on a plane with her pet chameleon Hugh, and the most exciting and scariest journey of her life. So let's read the first chapter, shall we? All right. Chapter 1, A Lovely Shade of Bread. Connie was choosing her dad. She'd narrowed him down to 2. The first possibility had just walked through the sliding doors. He crossed the arrivals area and stopped under the Welcome to Dublin sign. He frowned as he looked around, as if he'd been expecting someone to meet him off the plane. He had straight hair the color of Nutella, just like Connie's. He wore a dark blue suit and pointy brown shoes. The second possible dad stood waiting behind the barrier rail. He'd been there for 15 minutes. That had given Connie plenty of time to size him up from her chair behind the pillar in the Pie in the Sky cafe. His hair was a quarrel of graying curls, and his eyes were like hers, round and shiny brown, as if a conker had been stuck in each socket. Connie imagined life with each of them. First, Dad would leave early in the morning at 7 and get home after 6, but he'd make up for it with holidays. They'd stay in big hotels and with tiny bottles of moon-colored bubble bath that you could take home. With second Dad, she'd live halfway up a mountain in a cottage as scruffy as he was. They'd breed llamas and make their own ice cream and go skiing in winter and climbing in the summer. Connie liked bubble bath. She preferred ice cream and definitely mountains. She just settled on second Dad when the arrivals doors opened. Once again, a woman came through, hand in hand with a little girl. The man ducked under the burial rail, ran over, and scooped the child into his arms. How wonderful, thought Connie with an ache of gladness for the girl. Pressing her lips together, she turned to First Dad. He must have given up on being met because he was walking towards the exit. He looked her way and stopped. Her heart gave a hop. No, after all these years, could he actually be? But the look on his face didn't say, "Crikey, Mikey, it's a long-lost daughter." It was, "Holy Himalayas, what's that?" Connie looked down. Oh, no. Her jumping heart must have woke Hugh. The chameleon had been dozing against her chest, but now his head poked out of the neck of her hoodie. "Down," she whispered, trying to push him back into his pouch. Too late. He kind of slid, kind of dived from under her hoodie and landed with clattering claws on the floor. He rattled across the tiles and climbed up the leg of the next door table, where an elderly lady sat eating a muffin. She gasped as Hugh stopped by her plate to catch his breath, his little stomach pumping in and out. Connie sprang from her chair and lunged for Hugh. He wriggled away over the lady's arms. She shrieked, sputtering crumbs, and shook him off. He scuttled down the table leg and across the floor, jerking this way and that like a badly made cartoon. Connie was the only person in 6th class who could do the splits both ways, and she'd been the first to the top of the climbing wall on the second tour at Barrymore Park. But her agility couldn't match Hugh's. He scurried to the pillar in front of the table. Grasping a wire that ran up the side, he climbed. At the top of the pillar, he stopped and turned his head, as if daring Connie to follow him. "Don't move," she begged him silently. She dragged a chair over, stood on it, and wrapped her arms around the pillar. She clasped her legs around too, then pulled herself up as if climbing a palm tree for coconuts. Her arms hugged, her feet pushed, and her knees bent out like a frog's. At the top of the pillar, she stretched out a hand towards Hugh. "Gotcha," she muttered, but he dodged her grasp and climbed across the pillar to a metal beam that ran across the ceiling. He perched on top, just beyond her reach. Connie grabbed the beam with one hand, then the other, and swung across, hanging like a monkey. She broke her first rule of climbing: don't look down. Down was a long way away. Down was a tiled white floor with specks that winked it like wicked eyes, urging her to let go. Down was a gaggle of coffee-drinking, croissant-eating customers staring up at her from their tables in wonder. Connie's hands went clammy. They slipped round the beam. The ground eyes begged her to fall. "Don't look down," she told herself. "Look up." Above her, Hugh had reached the end of the beam. He turned his head and eyed her snootily from the far wall, as if to say, "What you need is a tail, my dear." Then he stretched out his long tail and curled it around a pipe that ran down the wall. His legs and body followed, and he scooted down the pipe and onto the counter of the Pie in the Sky cafe. Connie couldn't follow that. She swung her feet back to clasp the pillar again. She walked her hands along the beam, hugged the pillar, and slid down to the floor. More people had joined First Dad in the cafe crowd to stare at Thyo. He was now creeping along the counter toward a plate of scones. Thank goodness the cafe man had turned his back to make coffee at the noisy, hissing machine. Across the hall, Second Dad turned to stare too. His little daughter broke free from his grasp and ran over. "Baby dragon!" she squealed, pointing at Thyo. "Chameleon," Connie corrected her, pushing through the people to the counter. As if to prove it, Thyo climbed on top of the scones and turned a lovely shade of bread. Someone in the crowd gasped, and someone else clapped. So that's the first couple pages of Chameleon Dad. I hope you enjoyed that. If you'd like to finish this story, give us a call or stop on by and we'll pull it for you. If you're looking for something else, we'd love to help you find it. So I hope we'll see you soon. Okay, bye.